Hi everyone, this is Jann. I hope all of you are doing well today. And I have for you a small little painting. It's a 10 by 10. And actually, I started this with a watercolor effect on the background. And I hadn't gotten back to it to finish it. And then when I was working on the plush roses, I just picked up this canvas and I did a practice on the rose I was going to do for the YouTube video. And that's what you see right here. So then I set that aside and I just kind of forgot about it. And I thought, well, what am I going to do for my YouTube? And so I picked up this canvas and I decided to go ahead and finish this canvas here. Now at this point, I have the rose on here, and I'm thinking that over in here I'd like to have a hydrangea. And down in here I will have some other kind of flowers down here, something we haven't done before. And of course we will redo our leaves. But before I started, what I did was I added color a little bit deeper in the background here. It wasn't quite as dark as what you see, and I didn't have the water drops coming down on the bottom here. So I went ahead and did part of it so that I wouldn't take a lot of video time showing the backdrop here. But I'm going to show you just a little bit of what I did here to get these water drops. I think I could deepen this side here. I can't even hardly see the water drops, and I think I want to show you how I did that. So I just have, you can use citrus green, some sap green, whatever you have. I have like a 10 filbert here, and I just dipped it in a little water. And I came back over here and I picked up a little paint and I just kind of worked it in a little bit so it's kind of soupy. And then what I did was I took my brush and I just flip-flopped some color on. Now I know these two are going to be some leaves right in here, but let's let those kind of feather down. So once you have the color on there, set your brush aside, and I have a little squirt bottle here, and what I did was just kind of raise the canvas a little bit, put a paper towel under it, and I'm going to squirt the bottom part. And I'm only going to do the bottom part because that's the part I want it to run. See how it runs there? Now if I want more of it to run, then I can squirt kind of in the center, and there goes another drop down. So I kind of just kept squirting it, and I can pick my brush up again, and I can go back in this pile, and I can go ahead and dab some more on and let it run, just like that, into those little streams there that it creates. Then what I did was I picked up a little bit of the wet, like here's some wet right here, and I just finger painted up in here because this was too light around this rose here. So I just picked up a little bit of this wet paint here, and I came up here and finger painted some of this color up in here. I'll pick up some here. I know this is going to be kind of green over in here, so I added some greens and yellows over on this side to add some color, so that I kind of had color all around the rose, and it lets that rose pop out a little bit more. Now these areas here, when you touch your finger to them, they kind of make a little blob like that, and I just take my paper towel and just kind of blot it. It's just excess water is all it is, and it takes those away. And you'll do the same thing if you want. I wanted this to be a brighter area, so that's kind of like the citrus green. This is some pink that I had when I first did this rose. magenta, use pink melon, any kind of pink you want to put this over here, because this part here is going to be a hydrangea. I want us to do hydrangeas. Haven't decided on the flowers down here. Maybe some baby's breath down here, done with Q-tips. Donna showed us how to do those. I might add some of those. I am going to make these into leaves, so I have a pretty good start here on some different colors. Another color that I could put down into that area would be a little bit of teal, maybe, or aqua. Let's see if I can get some out on my palette here. Well, that one isn't going to work. Doesn't want it. Let's see if I have some teal over here. And I don't have any teal. But I'll go ahead and get some out, and I'll go ahead and add a little bit of teal. I think I might do these leaves in a little bit of watercolor. And I'll add some teal in there. And then when I come back to start doing another area on this, then I'll show you the teal leaves and how I ended up finishing those out. But I wanted to show you the background so that you could get busy. The background, just do it in any light color that you want first. You could do it in white, you could do it in tan or gray, any kind of neutral color first. And then start applying your colors with your brush and tilt your canvas and let it start running. Start at the top here and then come down. On this one, you know, I ended up doing the rose first and then went ahead and added some of the other colors on here. So have fun with this, and I will come back whenever I start doing some of this other stuff, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, see you in a few. Okay, so now we're back. And as you can see, I added a little bit of teal over here on where these leaves were, and I let it run down and drip down. So that darkened that up a little bit, and I'm happy with that. So now what I want to show you how to do is to add a little bit of foliage using a little bit of a sponge brush. Now these are called sea sponges. And can you see how all the little spiky things are coming off of it? When you tear these sponges, they have all these neat shapes. And each area will have a different shape. So I want this one to create little foliage areas up on this area over here. So I wet my sponge first, then I dabbed over here so that I could wet the canvas area with a little bit of the sponge. I wet the sponge, wrung it out, squeezed it, got the water out, but it's still damp. And then the area that I dampened, this area that I'm going to do. And then I mixed up some of the green here, the darker green, added some pink to it, added some teal to it, and I ended up with that. So now I have a little pile here. I added a little water so it's quite fluid, and you want it to look about like that. Okay, so my sponge is loaded, and what I'm doing is I'm going to be twisting and turning so that I can get these little shapes of foliage. And this is a neat way to do foliage. It covers a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And so I started with a lighter area first. Now I might want some over here. I'm going to carry it over here a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm starting with a lighter color first, and I'll go ahead and add it a deeper color as that dries. Now I think I would like some down in here because I like this area kind of a bright color. I think it adds to it. Remember, our hydrangea is going to be where all this purple is. So we can add some down here. And I guess we could add a little bit down in here. Might even put some right down in here. Okay, don't want too much, but it gives a nice effect. I'm going to put some right here because I have some deeper green area. I'm going to go off of the canvas there, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take my palette, I'm going to load it up again. Now this time I might want it a little deeper, so I go into the paint a little bit more, tap it so that it looks heavier. That's all I'm doing. I'm just tapping the edges. You don't want to tap the whole sponge area, just the edges. Now see how that's coming up a little bit darker, but not so dark that it's going to take away from the other light I have on there. See, this is just another layer of paint. Is all I'm doing is tapping in another layer of paint, but I want it a little darker and a little thicker, but I want to leave all these little highlight areas right here. So we're going to do a little bit at a time. I'm twisting this sponge around. Okay, let's go over here. Do the same thing. See? I just think this is a neat way to add foliage. It's something a little different. And it's really quite fun to do. I really enjoy putting on foliage with this because each time, see, I'm turning this sponge. Each time I press down, it's going in a different direction, and it will give you a different leaf effect or foliage effect. Can you see how I still have lights and darks? Okay, let's go under here. And it just sets you up for a little bit of a background of foliage. And this would be the same idea as taking my brush and flip-flopping little strokes around like I have in some of my other videos there. Now I can let that be, or I can pick up a little teal. Let's see what that would look like with a little hint of teal in there. But I want a little water on the sponge too, because I don't want this real dark. I'm going to blot it on my paper towel over here, and then pick up a little bit of that color. Let's add a little teal in here if it'll show up. Maybe I need a little more. Okay, just a little bit. Yep. Let's test it again. There's a little bit showing up there. I can see it. You probably can't see it on camera though. But you can add a little bit of teal. But I don't want it so heavy I lose everything I have. Because if you keep pouncing on it, it will turn to a solid color. We don't want that. Okay, I'm just dabbing in little bits of teal right here on the edges of that. Remember, don't press too hard or you'll lose your shape of your sponge that you're doing. Okay. All right, everyone. I think we have enough of this. Wasn't that fun? I love doing that. It's just a different way of adding your foliage, and I think it's really a neat way to add foliage. I like doing different things like that. Okay, so you'll want to clean out this sponge in your water and just wring it out, or just stick it in your water where the paint is. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and move to another area. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and start that hydrangea next, because that's going to be on top of all this other stuff here. So I'll either do the hydrangea We can either do that or we can finish out our leaves right here, but you can do either one because they're separated, so it's not going to bother either one of them. Okay, I'll see you in a few. So we're back now, and I have started my hydrangea, and I want to go over the steps that I did to prep this. So I decided on a shape for the hydrangea, and then I took my slow dry medium and I put a little bit on my dry canvas, and then I took this brush here and I worked in a crisscross stroke and worked that slow dry into the dry canvas so that it is wet under there, but not so wet I can't maneuver paint on it. Now I'm using the slow dry because it's warm here in California. I want about 20 minutes of working time into this. If you have the Folk Art blending gel, you can certainly do the same thing with that. And I've also seen people just use floating medium underneath little areas that they want it to remain a little bit wet for them. But for where I live, where it's dry and hot, I need the slow dry medium. That way I have more time to play with the strokes and it stays wet underneath there so that I'm working wet and wet. Now the colors that I have used is the top part here. I used this Liquitex light blue violet, and for folk art it'd probably be like a look at me blue. This color here is cerulean blue, and I think we might have that in the folk art color. I'm not quite for sure, but anyway, it's a medium. Whoops, it's a medium blue. Might help if I had this on the camera here. So that's your light blue, here's your medium blue, and then for the dark I just used dioxazine purple. Okay, so the light blue is going to go up along the top here. The medium blue is going to be kind of in the center here, and when I add my color, I add it on irregular, and then I butt these colors right next to one another. Then I put the purple on, and then I come back with a light touch. I hold my brush like this with a light touch. Now, see, this is already getting tacky with me. Yeah, see, because I have fans on and stuff because it's warm today. So I need to start working with this before it sets up a little more. But you softly want to chop blend those three colors together so that you have a nice blend like I have on here. Okay, so I'm going to stick my brush in water, and to do these petals I'm going to use a number 10 filbert. I like to use filbert brushes when I do the hydrangeas. And I'm going to come back, and I'm just going to come back with the same color that I have first. Now I'm going to put it on kind of loose. Try this and see what this does. So yeah, this will be fine. So you want your edges out here. You don't want a hard edge out here. So I'm just going around first, and I'm just going to put some edges on here. And I'm just using the flat of the brush here. Canvas is uneven. I like stuff make a popping noise. I hope it's not too distracting for you. Let's see if I can get it to sit a little more even. Then I start working these strokes as I come in. Now see, if I come down in the purple, pick some of that up and bring it up here, some of that purple will come up in here. This is the same thing as just flip-flopping your brush around. It's just we have a filbert brush instead of a flat brush. Now I'm going to pick up a little more light blue. I might add a little bit of white here. So let's start pulling in some lighter tones here, and I'm just picking up some of this blue, the light blue with white in it again. I'm just going to make some petal strokes here, just so we can start getting some shape here in these petals. I don't want to overdo it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got some of the light color, and I can still see color underneath it. So I'm going to pick up some of the medium color. I'll just dab a little bit of white in that medium color. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so whoops. Now that is a little bit too much. So let me go back into the medium blue. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just sporadically add these. That's all I'm doing. Then I'm going to pull some of that blue every now and then up a little further. Now let's go into the dioxazine purple. We want to start adding a little bit of the dioxazine purple down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing this very loose. I'm not, concentrating a whole lot on every single little petal being so-so. I'm not that kind of a painter on this here. It's kind of like the little flip-flop strokes that Donna does, with hers, using the back end of that brush. Well, this is the same thing, only I'm using a filbert. That's the only difference. And the filbert, I like using it because it gives me a rounded edge on that. Now, let me add one a little looser. There we go. On the edges here. You have to be careful because this thing will start growing with you, and pretty soon you have a bigger hydrangea than what you wanted. But it's going to grow some. Okay, I think I like all those colors in there. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll go ahead and let that dry. And especially on these edges here, if you have like a floating medium on your plate, I can't find mine. Maybe there's some right there, because I used this yesterday. Can't find my floating. There it is. Okay. Do floating medium mostly on the edges, so that'll be really, really light for you. Okay, I think I like that. And I like to use a little bit of citrus for my centers. I'm just going to pick up a little citrus here. You can add a little white in there if you want, and then that way it'll be lighter. There we go. I still haven't got me one of those kiss tools, and that's what I need. Just put a little center in there. Let's see. These are a little bigger than what I want, but yeah, it's a little bigger than what I want. But I can soften those out. And it's leaving more of a different edge on it than what I wanted. Wanted more of a circle. Don't do all of them, just do some of them that are showing up where you have 4. Okay. Now I'll come back and soften those because they're a little bit too long. So I'll come back and soften those and fluff those out a little bit more. But that's how I would do the hydrangea. I'll piddle with it a little bit. And when we come back to do these 2 leaves, I'll have that one finished out for you. And you can see what it looks like finished out. So again, I will see you when I come back to the leaves. Okay everyone, we're back. And I have done a little bit more work on this. I went ahead and put in the blade leaves, which I have done in several the YouTube videos, so I didn't go back over doing the blade leaves. I just basically put some of them here and some coming down here. And then once I did the blade leaves, then after they were dry, I came back and highlighted with a little bit of the pink. Another thing that I did in here was put in some of these little pink buds or blooms. They're just a made-up flower. I don't know what they are. And I picked up pink with white with a flat tin brush, and I just blobbed on. Another thing I put in was a little bit of liner work because we're going to put a little bit of baby's breath right down here. If you want to know more how to do the baby's breath with the Q-tips, Donna has a new video out on her YouTube that will show you how to do that. Also, I did one little area here with a Q-tip just to see how it was going to, what shape it was going to do before I added these 2 down here. And these 2 leaves up here, I added ruffle type leaves like I did before in the plush roses, which is the same one that I did the rose up here. On the hydrangea, the only thing I did on that was after it was totally dry, came back and added another top coat to the hydrangea because a lot of times the acrylics will dry really dull. So I wanted another coat on there so that it would stand out a little more, and I wanted these petals to show up more distinct. And then I put the little citrus centers in for those. So let's go ahead and do these 2 little flowers down here, and I have some Q-tips. See, I've got about 5 here, and I wet them first and blotted them, and then I loaded them with some of the white on your palette. I hope it's not dry yet. You have to kind of get these all even coated so that all of them have some paint on there so that they all dab. Usually you bundle them together, but I didn't bundle mine because I've only got like 5 Q-tips here. And I didn't know where I had another one of those little rubber bands or something to bundle it. So I've got the Q-tips, and I'm just going to pounce it. And I'm twisting it and turning it as I'm pouncing. Now, when it slips down and they're not all even, you can grab them and try to get them even again. There we go, like a little ball. Okay, and then go to this side and pounce around. Now I think I want that little, I'm just reloading here. Let me pull this up a little bit, and it'll put more paint on. Keep these airy. You don't want them real you want to be able to see in between all of these. So I put a couple of them down here, and I also have one up here, kind of making like a dome shape, kind of an oval dome shape. And I can pull in some more now. I lost my... I really like this way of doing these little flowers here. Okay. Let's add a few more up here. They almost look like little bubbles, don't they? How cute. Yeah. Right there. And I think I'm going to put some right in here. Just reloading here. Don't smear, just tap and press. Cute. Look at how cute. I hope I didn't overdo it. Maybe I didn't, because these are light down here. Yeah, and then I'll have two here. I have a few little bubbles there. Okay. I think we are good on this little painting here, and really the only other thing that I would do is check these petals here on the outside edge, and if I wanted to reestablish some of those petals to where they were on top of some of the leaves, I could come back and reestablish some of these outer petals here. But I kind of like it. I'm looking at it in the computer here, and I think it will be okay. I like the little drops. I like that this is light and airy. See the little drops down there? I really like that. I don't think there's too much more to add to this because it's pretty full. It's just a little 10 by 10 canvas. Now if you want to do different leaves on yours, you know, like I have the ruffle leaf here, just do a regular one stroke leaf. Any kind of leaf you want to do, an up and back, a ruffle leaf, your looped leaves, you could do something simple. Don't even do a leaf. You could put some of the little flowers in here, but make it your own if you want to. You don't have to follow it exactly like what I have. Your hydrangeas can even be a different color if you don't want the blue. Your rose could be a different color if you don't want the pink. It's just what I had on there. And you can arrange things any way you want to. I do see one little thing that I did forget to do though, and maybe we'll go ahead and do that right now, and that is to add a little bit of center to my rose, right? We didn't have a little center on there. And I'm just using an oval mop brush. That's what I'm using. I like the ovals because they're nice and airy. Let's see if you can see that. Let me get it on camera. See how open that is? And it's oval shape. You can see how it's oval right there. It's not real flat on the ends, and it makes really nice center work for your flowers there, and it also makes great greenery. I'm going to show you how to do some of these little fern leaves with this little oval brush in our next painting that we do. So there you have it, everyone. You can take a photo of this, screenshot this photo so that you have it, and you can use it for reference. And thank you so much for joining me today to do this cute little painting. And until next time, take care, God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.